Running.
I do it online.
Yeah, that's okay.
Shorts on, and it's good as sweatshirt.
Can you get here?
How old?
And I look so old that they don't even have. They just asked what my birthday is. Yeah.
So do you have to put your, online, you have to put your birthday?
Can't tell them nothing.
They still ask me for my birthday. And I'm really-
They must punch it into their little scanner. Yeah.
So did
And
you
one
see?
time I went and I usually get Bush Light and Coors Light. Those are the two I
Jim, what's the deal
I
with
got
Bush Light or
Coors
Bush
Light.
Lemonade?
I got an Ultra
doing
and
that.
Bud
That's
Light.
Bud Zero.
I'm like, well, no, I got 4 pieces
Yeah.
here and we don't, I don't drink Ultra and I don't drink Bud Heavy.
Okay, we'll start making signs, so Gene's.
Well, it's just like that. And then
And with the
otherwise,
COVID
either
thing, they
that or
don't
they
let you, like,
serve
they put it in your
that
car, you
goddamn.
take it home and you're like,
That's about.
That's one day, it's
They don't let you
taste
bring
too
it back.
bad, it's never good.
Yeah.
Making dinner taste too bad, and next week.
Did you see where?
I know, that's on the way out.
Where some,
Hey,
I see someplace,
We're here for goodness
put two carts out on the shirt.
Are we live right now?
I don't care we're live or not, that's my favorite.
The minute he said something, I was like, I know exactly where this is going.
I went to get mine, like, I thought she was gone. I had my old car, she was on the camera, and I backed up and I ran right into their car. I'm like, I go, God, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. She said, don't worry, it happens all the time. I'm like, well, if it happens all the time, let's not leave your, don't walk away and leave your car behind the car.
So Joan ordered for the first time on
Yeah.
her Christmas dinner. You know, the basics, and then sides and stuff. But she ordered a ham and ham. She went to pick it up. They're out of ham. So she was getting a whole 20 pounds.
For you too?
No, it was, we had a group. but I think it was
Pledge
just-
allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, first thing we have is the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Hearing none, I make a motion for approve the agenda for today.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we will have is the approval of the minutes of last week on December 20th. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there is not, we're in order for a motion to approve the minutes as presented. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried. Okay, the first thing we have on the agenda this morning is Carroll Area Development Corporation for fiscal 23 funding request. I'll turn it over to whoever's going to lead the show here.
Okay,
Kimberly?
thank you. Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself as Shirley Tiefenthaler, the new executive director for the Carroll Area Development Corporation and the Carroll Chamber of Commerce. Don't want to assume that just because I'm a longtime resident, don't want to make any assumptions that everyone knows who I am. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to getting into the position deeper now that the holidays, or at least Christmas, is behind us and such. So the first thing that I'd like to comment on is kind of the revisiting of Carroll County partnerships amongst the communities from CADC in the new year, making visits, personal visits to the communities and to the community leaders will be very important from the CADC side of things. Those partnerships and having those conversations about how can we enhance what we do and grow what we do together. So that's going to be very important to me as the executive director, and also because what we do has to have a county and somewhat of a regional focus. One community staying alone and trying to do everything itself doesn't work and won't work going forward. So it definitely takes that partnership of all of us. and to make our community as healthy as possible. Another thing I'd like to just briefly mention is the county-wide housing initiative that has kind of been kicked off the ground, and we've had some good meetings, and I think we can look forward to that growing and getting some traction as we go forward. And then also county-wide business development. So with my background with the Small Business Development Center, that is definitely an initiative that will be strong going through from CADC throughout the county. So the SBDC will always have a presence here, and especially because they have a very close working relationship with DMAC that has been developed while I was with the SBDC, but also because I bring that with me. And so the new regional director for the SBDC will be starting in January. And I look forward to bringing him to a meeting, introducing him, and then working very closely with him on how we can carry things forward from the SBDC side throughout our county. So business development, business support, business retention, and entrepreneurial initiatives are going to be very important for all of us going forward. And Mr. Franny joins us. Mr.
Yeah.
Franny.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all
One more
right.
phone call and it lasted longer.
That's all right. So I just want to let you all know that Jim Allen is stepping down as will be our past president. And Mike Franny will be our new CADC president going forward. So as we should thank Jim for all of his years of service as our president, and welcome Mike on board beginning right away in January. The other thing I'd like to mention is Access Washington. We are planning on that trip, and we will be working towards bringing that together and giving you that information. But as COVID has done, it's kind of canceled that trip out in the past year, but we definitely want to make sure we're doing that and have our county presence there and doing everything we can to talk to our elected officials and making sure they know what's needed in Carroll County. So we'll get you more information as that unfolds. At this point, I would like to throw it to Matt, who has been very instrumental with CADC in the interim period. Matt's done a fantastic job doing all things CADC, and in this time period where we've been without an executive director. Matt has been working on the budget, and so I will just let him continue on with what he's been doing with that and go ahead and speak to those pieces.
All right, thank you. So for the proposed budget for what we have moving into, I guess, our fiscal year 2022, private investment, we had for 40,000. We were about done with this year's. That kind of happens at the end of the year, and we're really pushing to have the good amount. Private investment is really something that's a third of our funding, is kind of a third leg, if you will, not actually a third percentage, but the third leg of our funding from the private industry, recognizing the important work that CADC does, whether that's to work on housing, workforce, BRE, recruitment, et cetera. It's those folks that see the importance of what we do and how it can help their own businesses day to day. Dues and others, some of that's from member dues, some of that's from other, whether it's EDA money, et cetera. You see on their City of Carroll and Carroll County, we're requesting the same amount, and then also retail coach. That's a specific amount allotted from the City of Carroll that goes specifically to that project. So that's what that's for. Kind of just, unless there's any questions on our revenue and income, the expense side of it on the administrative side, obviously the largest portion of that is payroll and benefits, but it's also helping with the supplies and postage. We pay 50% of everything that we use between CADC and chamber, and then also mileage, meetings, any of those things that we have to travel for. whether that's for business, again, business recruitment, et cetera. On the development side, a lot of this you always want to have in your pocket to be using when you're working to set things up in terms of web development, your partners in progress, which is part of this packet, private investment, a project or industry research to bring someone in or to get a study done to see what we need to do to help with workforce, et cetera. Whatever the case may be, all those different line items in the development side are very important to addressing the work that we at CADC do. So that 89,840 that's allotted for all the development, that's what those things are for. That's the teeth of what we're doing at CADC to move our mission forward. So that equals out into net zero budget. So that's what the budget is for CDC moving forward into next year. If you have any questions, let me know.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you for all your past support. Easy and good to work with. We appreciate that. We know that anytime you have questions for us, we're available.
So what do you base the increase on this year?
Pardon me?
What do you base the increase?
The increase was 3% increase based on just the expenses and costs going up of payroll and benefits and those things. So just your typical day-to-day costs of running the organization. That's really what caused for the increase. So.
Any other questions?
I do like Kimberly, you wanting to reach out to the outside community. I mean, Carroll is a very, very important part to the Carroll County, but the little fingers that we have in the rest of the county are also very important too. They help feed into workforce, they help feed into
Everything.
retail, everything.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
glad to reach out a little bit to those. This is a different approach. I look forward to that.
I do too. I look forward to that because it is extremely important in our rural development. Period. Yeah.
Almost, it's regional, but yet it's local too.
Right.
So it's a hard balance. It's a hard balance.
Economic developments countywide is pretty important to the people of Templeton and Breda, Arcadia, and they'll take a lot of pride in that.
Well, and if you look at our county, there's so many hidden pockets of so many good things, so many untold stories. When I was with the SBDC as regional director, it amazed me the things that you would find, and I would say hiding in the weeds. So you get outside of the usual things, Carroll, whatever is usual, and it's always amazing what you find. And that entrepreneurial initiative, that business development, can't just focus. We can't silo that. That's got to be countywide. We do have to have a regional lens as well. So I serve on the Empower Rural Iowa Task Force, and that's talked about a lot. In the Invest Task Force that I personally serve on, the entrepreneurial and business development initiatives is part of what we're focusing on. So I have a strong belief in that, coming from the SVDC and then a longtime business owner. But yeah, definitely focused on Carroll County as a whole, and then regionally, what is going to make us strong and vibrant going forward.
Well, and I think, we've got 2 board members that sit on your board, and we try to report back, but I still hope we do the quarterly reports with the rest of the board. I think it's good in case we forget something.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank Jim for your years of dedication. I think you've done
Thank you.
a hell of a job of leading the helm there in the ship. And congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
I would urge the supervisors to reach out to me anytime and let me know some things that you would like to see from my perspective and hear about. I'd be willing to. I'm a very open person. I like to have those conversations. So I can't do or take care of what I don't know about. So I'm looking forward to kind of uncovering some of those things that need to be attended to or what have you. So open communication is a great thing. So I appreciate that.
One of the comments you asked about increased cost, we decided we have to offer health insurance as part of one of our packages. So we talk about increased costs. We need to be competitive, right?
Exactly.
We all do that, private business, public business. We need to, so that's something we have offered this year. So
Yeah, that is most of the time.
we all know it, right? We have
So
to,
there you have
it's
it.
things we have to, it's things we have to do to be competitive in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So,
Times change.
yes, sir.
Any words of wisdom from you?
No, I just think it's a great relationship of, public private partnership that we're all working on the same to make Carroll County as a whole better. And Dean, you said, yes, a new business that starts in Breda is a win for all of us.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and that's what CADC does is look, we work on the whole county. So it's not just Carroll specific. So workforce and housing is still going to be one of our top initiatives. So
And we have rural representation on our exec committee. It's a part of our bylaws. Dawn from Manning does an exceptional job representing rural. She takes great pride in that. So
One thing I would like CADC or the chamber to take a look at is the childcare.
Huge issue.
It's huge
It is.
to Jim and everybody's business.
All of us. Yeah. Right.
I had the privilege to serve on the Trail Area Child Care Center for a long time as a member of the board and president, and it allows the ability to get people into the workforce.
Absolutely.
So yes, it is a,
It is.
Okay,
all right.
any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for
Happy
your
New
support.
Year.
Okay, next we have Highway 30 Coalition, new one.
Morning, Adam.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks for the opportunity to come and visit with
Somebody's
you.
yelling at you.
I said good morning.
Well, I hope, did everybody get this Snyder and Associates memorandum? I guess that'd be the first thing I would ask. So just wanted to make sure you had that. So just a little bit of information from me. Currently serve as the volunteer president of the Highway 30 Coalition for the state of Iowa. I've been in this post now for almost 10 years. And we are promoting the 4-lane expansion of Highway 30 in the areas that have not been programmed with the DOT. So we have traveled the state for the last 10 years promoting areas of the state like Benton County, Tama Toledo, Mount Vernon bypass. And if you take Highway 30 East, you'll see that those projects are in various stages of completion and or getting there. Most of that area should be completed here by 2025 and open. And so we're continuing to make those next steps. So with that, we had identified with the DOT in a meeting in Shenandoah some 7 or 8 years ago. We identified 3 priorities for the corridor for 4-lane. Those being from Lisbon, Iowa to DeWitt, Iowa, and then from Ogden to Carroll, and then Missouri Valley and 4-lane bypass of Missouri Valley. And Missouri Valley is currently in the program and they are working on that. That has been a joint effort between the Iowa DOT and the Army Corps of Engineers. And as of right now, they have bought all of the right-of-way for a 4-lane bypass, but as of right now, they're only promoting the idea that they might pave 2 lanes. So we've got a little more work to do with them on seeing the vision and the reality of just doing it proper the first time, but we're working on that. With that, we have had various meetings with the governor's office and the IEDA, Iowa Economic Development Authority, about the real importance of Highway 30 to the state. It touches 12 counties, it spans 331 miles, and Highway 30 is the second most populated corridor in our state at a little over 555,000 people, second only to Interstate 80. And the reason it's second is because of Des Moines. With being the second most populated, we're of course also the second most number of business, the second most traveled, the second most economic impact to the state of Iowa. So we really believe that four-laning 30 makes sense. The 30 coalition supported the Highway 20 coalition for some 20 to 30 years, Iowa Transportation Days and working on legislators and things of that nature. And it was always told to us that as soon as Highway 20 was completed, Highway 30 would have its turn. And so in 2018, October, we cut the ribbon that opened Highway 20 all the way across the state. Since that time, it's calculated that there was some $1 billion probably put into Highway 20 over about a 35 to 40 year period of time, and that the return on investment for that, for the state of Iowa and for transportation trucking industry, the return on investment would be about 7 years, believe it or not. So when you take saving a semi that's traveling across the state an hour and a half of time, you calculate that on say $100 an operating hour, and the number of trucks and traffic that has increased since opening that road, that's where we got that 7 year return. So transportation is pretty critical to us. So as we've been promoting Highway 30 and we were able to get these priorities put in place, we've seen a shift, a little bit of a negative shift in terms of the state's view of 4-lane roads. And seems that only 4-lane development is now being promoted in the urban areas, and they've not wanted to be as strong about 4-laning in the rural areas. And so with that, we've had a significant number of meetings to try to convince otherwise, and it's been our advice from the IEDA and others that we need to continue to promote the economic advantage Highway 30 provides the state and provides the communities it serves. So with that, I come to you today with a proposal. We have worked with Snyder and Associates, who has done a number of these types of studies over the years, done a number of projects with the Iowa DOT, so very reputable company. These guys have worked with us to create a Highway 30 corridor economic impact study. And so with our partners in Clinton and Cedar and Greene counties, I'm going to ask a number of different governing bodies to help us fund this study. And that's why I'm here today. The total cost, well, and I could get into the study just a little bit. Some of the important things that the study is going to do is not only tell us about the importance of 4-laning versus keeping ourselves in a 2-lane situation, but it's also going to provide another tool for economic development. And I think it's rather timely. You just got done talking to our economic development group, but they're continually looking for ways to provide strong data to businesses to make cases for either expanding or locating to Carroll and Carroll County. And this would be another tool for that, because we're coming out of a census. We're going to have very up-to-date numbers now on our population numbers. We're also hopefully seeing kind of the end of the pandemic and some of its effects on the economy. We hopefully are going to be seeing a little bit better uptick in business and things of that nature. But with that, these guys are going to be studying the connection of the most direct feasible routes. They're going to be looking at the expansion of biofuels industries, growth of livestock and poultry in the state over the last 30 years. They believe this is a very timely time for us to do a study like this, because they really haven't seen a study like this done on the Highway 30 corridor in over 30 years. So a lot has changed. in terms of whether it be meat processing, whether it be production facilities, whether it be manufacturing, agriculture. There's been a lot of investment made along the corridor. So they're going to be looking at a lot of the research that's also between highway systems and improvements and how 4-lane and 2-lane differ. So the economic advantage of a community that's located along a 4-lane road versus that of a 2-lane road. I'm not going to get into a ton of details because this thing is quite detailed as far as a study, but I believe that the information that comes out of this will be beneficial to all in the end and be used well beyond our promotion of 4-laning the corridor. The total cost of the study is $100,000, ends up being actually approximately $97,000. And so what we're coming to the county and requesting is for you to consider funding this for $5,000. We have gone to the city of Carroll and asked them to fund it for $5,000. We're also going to be asking the Economic Development Group, and then we're going to Greene County with the same request, Clinton County and Cedar counties with the same request. And then the Highway 30 Coalition itself is going to contribute $15,000. And so we will be able to ultimately pretty much get to that 97,000, and I'll have a little bit of funding if I have to try to make up the shortfall from the Highway 30 Coalition. But we also have some business partners who are also talking about being willing to step up and contribute as well, because we have a significant number of businesses over the years who have written letters to the governor and to the DOT in support of 4-laning because it's a dramatic impact on their business, albeit whether it's tourism and transportation or whether it's ag related or whether it's manufacturing related. So we believe that we can get this study funded, and then once we have it funded, that would be when we would eventually come to you with the request. But for today, coming to you with the request to consider funding this.
Any questions, Brad?
And will you be approaching like Denison and area and maybe further west also?
Yeah.
For some type of request for some type of funding?
Yep, we certainly can, because this study is specifically focusing on that Lisbon to DeWitt and the Ogden to Carroll
Okay.
and the Missouri Valley
Hard to
piece.
reach out.
A little bit harder for me to probably get them talked into funding it at this time. But I think this sets the stage then, you know, should we be successful in this effort and we get a lot of good feedback that this is very relevant and good information, it'll allow me to help them as we push west in the future and provide them a really good example of what can be done.
I guess I've watched the DOT over the years and it seems like they're awful reactive, where people build in a particular area and then they come in and they want to 4-lane the road or do those changes. But I've always felt in the rural area, they should be more proactive instead of reactive. And there's a big difference. And I just think this is an opportune time for them to be proactive and put that third corridor together. Yeah, will it relieve all the traffic issues on Interstate 80? No, it won't, but it will relieve some. And I just think that they're faced with a monumental movement when they go through the Des Moines metro area of trying to add a 3rd or 4th lane in there. Now you're really encroaching upon lots of issues where out here they can still nip it before it gets out of hand. But I applaud your work for this because this has been an uphill battle, like pushing a noodle uphill, and at least you're still in there pushing. So then I applaud you for that.
Well, part of the study, wouldn't that also benefit them people to the west too?
It will, because it's going to look at the entire corridor.
Yeah, I would think they'd maybe want to help a little bit on it, but
Sure. Maybe not quite to the level that we're asking our specific counties that are impacted, but certainly it's going to be worth an ask to Evan, Blake, and a few of the people over to the west.
because I know Highway 30 Coalition supported this effort across the state for years, and particularly this area has. So I would tend to hope that those other areas would kind of reciprocate a little bit.
Yeah.
But And I do think there's probably a lot of private enterprises out there that should help step up to the table.
So as you get this ask going,
Mhm.
is it possible that you could, get more, support from the private sector, that you wouldn't have to come to us? Is that possible?
As of right now, I don't know that I've got. I think the private sector will be a great gap fill, but I wanted to lay a very good baseline, knowing that I've pretty much got
Got
three-quarters of the
support.
study. If I've got three-quarters of the study funded, I believe that's where I'm gonna get that private sector money to come in.
Sure.
But to ask them to individually go out and start funding it, not knowing if it's even gonna happen, is a little bit tougher of a ask, I think, at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Shenandoah meeting down there.
Mhm.
Was that over 5 years ago?
Well.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
they voted to put that on the 5-year plan at
Mhm.
that meeting. So does that mean it goes off the 5-year plan? Are we still on the priority or not?
We've had a lot of discussion about that. It seems that the Iowa DOT does have a tendency to prioritize things, but then just not act on them. 61 has been on their priority list now for 20 years. So
But it's about-
unfortunately, they
It's
don't.
about complete.
There are certain sections of 34 also that have never been
34.
touched.
But they're prioritizing just like we do with ours.
Well, I understand that, but I just don't want to see it come off the list, the priority list.
As of right now, that's not really off the priority list, but rather what they're trying to push is a super 2-lane development from Lisbon to DeWitt as opposed to 4 lanes, so they can cut down on costs. And we all saw what a super 2 did between Carroll and Crawford County.
Yeah.
Virtually nothing in terms of safety, improvement of traffic flow, and it certainly didn't do anything for economic development. So we've pushed back pretty hard on that, spoken to IDA and the governor's office and said, we really do not want to see that money put there. It would be a waste of taxpayer dollars to do that. So we are coming at it from that angle at this time.
Great.
Any other questions?
Nope, I'm encouraged to see what's going on over there, especially in the Tama area.
Yeah.
And connecting that to Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, and from there, it's just that Lisbon to DeWitt piece would connect, ADM as a company. They'll probably be one of those that will help fund this.
Right.
They've got $2 billion worth of investment between Cedar Rapids and the terminals at Clinton County at this point. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of business. I mean, we're moving a lot of product to the Mississippi and then out to the world. So when they're having to send trucks down 380 to Interstate 80 and then back up to Clinton County because they can't run 2-lane Highway 30, that's a big economic impact on their business.
Absolutely.
And so, we're trying to be out there talking about this, and it just baffles me sometimes how the rest of the mechanism of state government isn't. So.
And if we would get 30 done, it would sure alleviate the traffic on 80. Save some of the problems they have down there.
For sure.
Any other questions? Adam, as you know, we're in the process of the budget, so we will be considering it.
Okay.
We will not make a decision right now until we get done totally to the end of the budget, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
This is a good timing though. You get us the right time when we're doing the budget, so.
Yep. Very good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Okay, next we have secondary roads.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Zach.
A few things on my list today.
Just a few.
Just a few. First thing is the resolution allowing myself to execute the documents on our bridge project that we have coming up. And see down the list, we'll talk about the apparent bid results we have on that. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I did get the resolution put together. Hopefully you guys got a copy of that. Very, very similar, almost identical, other than changing out project numbers to what we've done for the last project. So again, this is something we need to do for each project. If you would like me to execute the contract, but we don't do that many of them either, so it's not a huge undertaking task, but
Well, I think it's all the right way of doing it. You gotta do it online now. To set that up every time is
it can be cumbersome. It's,
cumbersome. Someone should be really good.
I don't disagree.
Okay. Any questions on resolution 2021-032, allowing the county engineer to execute documents on the project Bros Swap County 14169 SE 14?
I'll make a motion that we authorize, well, that we, let's see how I want to put this, that we,
Authorize the county engineer to execute the documents.
or should I, Courtney, should I attack the resolution itself?
Well, that's kind of what the resolution says.
It's the same thing. about-
Yeah, it's,
Okay. I make a motion that we allow the county engineer to be the signing agent for documents with the DOT.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
You need this.
If not, all those in favor, signify or roll call?
Minor,
Yes.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes.
Houseman,
Yes.
the motion carries.
Now you're on the hook to the debt too.
Okay.
Funny how that works.
Welcome to the game.
You didn't say that before you approved it, did you? Second thing on the list is another one of our project completions. This is for our concrete box project A22. This is the one we have on Sycamore Avenue. It's a 16 by 10 box. Midwest Contracting did this project, came in very quickly, knocked it out in about a week, really, and did an excellent job. It is 100% complete. We did get our portion done as far as getting fence put back. Really, the only thing that has left to do for us is some seeding next spring when weather allows. But went really well. Really no hiccups in it. Only thing we have left to pay is the retainage on this project, which is just under $5,000. So I do have the final voucher, I guess, for your signature if you so choose, and it is a part of claims.
Any questions on that?
Do we have to approve claims prior to?
This is really accepting the project, and then when you approve claims, the payment will be
Okay.
part of that. So
So this is just the second project. Is there any other questions? Not, we need a motion to approve the acceptance of completion of the project.
So moved.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Huh?
At least we can go through the two.
I'll let her pick out who seconded it. All right.
27.
All right. That motion's been carried.
I didn't hear that part.
Huh?
I didn't hear that part.
We didn't vote yet.
We didn't vote. Oh, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, motion carried. There, now you got it. Okay, next is review bid results for Borough Swap CO 14169 SE 14.
I'm sorry, Stephanie, I didn't get this sent out to you, but this is just a printout from the DOT, their letting system, basically showing the apparent bid results for our project, N3 Bridge project. I did finally this morning early get the email that includes the contract and all that, so I will review that, make sure it's all correct, and then bring that back at a later date. Generally, these apparent bid results are pretty spot on, but they have to go through their process of making sure everything's tidied up.
So they haven't done that yet.
They sent me the email like at 7:30
So
this
this
morning.
we can announce this.
Right, this is public knowledge. These are apparent bid results, are public knowledge, is that they're not formal yet, basically. We don't act on these. This is for information, basically, is what this is for at this point. So
5 apparent bids.
5 apparent bids, ranging from $342,000 to $545,000. I believe our estimate was in the $400,000 range, so we're kind of right around that number 2 bidder.
So our estimate was about 400,000.
And it was a hard one to put together because who knows what steel was gonna do and what concrete was gonna do. I mean, materials are kind of jumping around, obviously with fuel and labor as well. So I think that's probably why you see such a large spread from number 1 to number 5.
$200,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, big.
Jeez.
so
Even between 1 and 2 is pretty sizable.
it is. So Cunningham Reese was the apparent low bidder at $342,622.40. Obviously, they have done work in Carroll County before, done work on our Bruggeman Bridge. They've also done one, I believe, northeast of Manning was probably the last one they did. I think that was roughly 5 years ago, I believe. East of the OCO.
Yeah, they completed it.
Yeah, that was east of the DI.
Mhm. I think so.
And I think they did some there southwest of town too one time, I think.
They've done multiple projects for us over the years.
No issues.
Reputable contractor. Sometimes not always the fastest moving contractor, but have done pretty good work.
Where are they
So,
located?
There or Dell someplace down there?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Pardon? Yeah, Google it. Just curious.
All 5 are very reputable contractors though, that have done work around Carroll County or in Carroll County.
About Manure.
Sounds right.
Gus
Sounds
County.
right. Yep.
Okay, see, I knew it was
They're
down
close.
there.
South, yeah. So, nothing you need to do as far as acting on this today. This is just for informational purposes. I'll get the contract part going forward and get that to you as time allows. Since we got the resolution complete, allow me to sign, that part's taken care of and ready to go as well, so.
Here's this thing, which
This would
bridge?
be 2 miles north of Temple on the east side and then about half back east.
280th Street.
Okay.
Any more questions on that?
I just had a gentleman ask me about it this morning.
So, no, good bids, can't complain.
Yeah, really, I'm surprised that little bit.
It's good to see 5 bidders too. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, that's good.
But no, there's a big difference there. Didn't get one out of, the ones out of
No, not this year. I'm not, I don't know if they're busy or, and they historically haven't been on a lot of county bridges. And they do a lot of state bridges. So depending on what their workload and what they have for the year, maybe they're not looking right now, but yep.
I'm drawing a blank. Thank you.
A few things under, as far as department update. We did receive our deck over trailer that we talked about probably 10 months ago, I believe it was, when we were talking about that almost a year ago. We did finally receive that.
Is that the one that's in the papers today?
Yes, it is. Olson did stand behind their quote as well.
4,500?
5,400, I believe. I don't know that they're gonna come out okay on that because they're just the way what's gone on with steel and everything, things have changed, obviously. So,
How long was that? 7, 8 months?
I think it was almost 10. I mean, I think it was March when we talked about that, if I remember
I
right.
we're talking about, but
It was
exactly when.
for sure 8 months, maybe even a little longer than that.
5435.
So, I guess kudos to them for honoring their price. I appreciate that, so. Two other things. One, we're gonna be working on getting some CMP quotes for our corrugated metal pipe. We've done a lot of driveways and a lot of roadway culverts this year. So we're getting down there. We do it every year, but it's gonna be a bigger order this year, as well as the increase in price on steel has obviously gone up as well. So this will be something that definitely will be more than what would have been in the past, probably. From a budget standpoint, I think we will be able to handle it, but just wanted to mention it and talk about it.
Do we have a fee we charge for those, Zach?
For driveways?
Yeah.
Yep, we basically take the cost of that pipe and add a little bit to it for our installation, basically, and handling of that pipe. Generally, it's still cheaper than what anybody can buy it anywhere else on the open market. And then obviously we put in our labor to install it. So if it's a little bit of time with the skid loader or with whatever, we add that to when we build that driveway. We don't charge for the dirt, that we're getting somewhere else generally is a benefit to us. It's about placement of the pipe and placement of that fill, the time we put into it. So.
Very good.
So is that when one is requested or when one is needed? So I guess what I mean by there is that if somebody does not have access to their property, then doesn't the county put one in?
People have to request one, and if, I guess put it this way, if there's currently not one in there, they're responsible to pay for getting one put in. If there currently is one there that's failing, that was put in by us and to our standards, then we replace that at no charge. Or a lot of them, what we end up doing is widening driveways. That's what, forget larger equipment, whether it's semis in, so it was a driveway that was maybe 30 foot wide, now they want it 50 foot wide. So we have standards on that too, and how wide we make them and what we allow, but a lot of them are widening anymore, is what it seems like.
Yeah. Are we putting a minimum on the size of those?
Really don't. I mean, I really don't see anything under 20 foot. But generally it's trying to keep people under the maximum, which is 60.
Well, I was gonna say, is there a maximum?
60 is where we stick.
Because I know a lot of them that they're using tractor trailers to haul in rain, and it's easier for them just to swoop off and get further off the road, which is an advantage for us.
Right.
To cut down on accidents. I understand all that, but those are a little bit longer.
Yeah.
than,
And there's definitely places where it creates more of an issue than others, depending on the hills and drainage and snow storage and multiple other things, but.
Most of those driveways that were put in for nothing are done at the time when the road is graded. They're put in at that time.
Yeah, I guess what I'm kind of referring to is I'm familiar with a piece of ground that was split up,
Mhm.
you know, and this person now does not have access to that piece of property. I always thought that the county would elect, would
Provided,
provide an access to that piece of property.
I-
That's not the way it is exactly?
I don't think so. It could have been years ago, but I also had someone inquire about that. And I could not find anything from our records. Number one, that we've done that in recent history. Number two, that shows that on the books as being an ordinance or anything, that policy that we have done. So I guess that's continued on the policy that we've had, and that's what it's been, so.
Well, the problem is, Dave, if you go out there and if you don't charge them, you're gonna have all these little acreages getting built up on a paved road. And
it was a policy at one time. I do remember that distinctly because I was involved in it. So that's why I asked.
Mhm.
So I mean, if we change the policy, that's fine, but I just wondered if that was still the policy. And I guess it's not. So, but I'm just wondering.
And the last thing I have on the list is I'm working on getting information put together for doing a limestone quote for this winter again, like we did last year. We do have somewhat of a stockpile there this year. We haven't used as much as what we've probably have in the past with being a drier year. Plus, we're trying to utilize our own forces to haul some of that material in as well. I am looking at probably roughly 7,000 ton to get contract hauled in over the winter. For Dodge or Claire, we allow them to go from either place. They're both on our approved list, I guess. We've hauled some of ours from Claire, just a little easier for us. But I'm working on getting the paperwork put together for that. So just wanted to touch base about it and see if there's any issues with it. Again, I know in the past, we've done more, a larger contract amount, but I think we can, again, haul some of that with our own forces and hopefully save a little bit of dollars there, so.
Okay, anything else?
That's all I have.
Any questions for Zach? How you coming on budget?
Getting close. I'm just about all the way through the first go around, but then I gotta go through and kind of adjust and wiggle back and forth a little bit. So
Let Stephanie and I know when you're ready, then we can probably set up a time.
I definitely will. Hopefully by the end of the day today, I'm gonna feel a lot more comfortable where I'm at and definitely get hold of you.
So get that done. Okay. If there's nothing else, thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
What time
Thanks,
is it?
Zach.
Do we want to get into the SCH review and consider agreement for HVAC replacement and courthouse remodel? Oh, they're going to be online.
Yeah, I don't see John here yet, so.
Okay, so let's go down to, how about the second reading of ordinance number 35, establishing election and precinct boundaries.
I think we can get this handled today and be done with it.
And this is what in regard to particularly the Maple River south half and north half of Maple River in Carroll.
Correct. So the only two changes we made on the county precincts were in precinct 2, precinct 3. Precinct 2 will include obviously Carroll Ward 2, and then all the unincorporated area of Maple River Township that's north of US Highway 30 to exclude. And I'm not going to read the whole legal on it because it's very detailed, and to be honest with you, it makes more sense to me just to say what sections it includes. But we're not allowed to use section numbers in our legal descriptions. We have to use roads. So, I have to find the notes here. So we'll be removing Maple River Township sections 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, and 18. We'll be leaving District 2, Precinct 2, and moving to District 3, Precinct 3. So that is the only
From
change.
2 to 3.
Yep,
And what are those section numbers again, please? I should have been writing that
that's all
down.
right. I wrote them pretty quick.
6,
6 and 7. And then 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah, I gotta do the radio, so I got it. Okay, all right.
All right, so it gets a little bit confusing around the railroad because that's kind of the dividing line. But I encourage anybody that lives in those sections, if they're curious, they can call us and we can tell them where they'll go. Those, once this is approved by the state, we will publish this ordinance in the paper. And those voters that were moved from one district to another will get a card in the mail that'll tell them what their new district is and where they vote. So they will get that information at that time. Other than that, I don't have any other changes, so if the board is inclined, they can make a motion to approve this second reading and possibly waive the third if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, we can have a third one next week.
I will make a motion to approve reading of ordinance number 35, establish election precinct boundaries and waive the third reading.
I'll second that.
Been, has there been any comments online or you have on this?
No.
There's no comments online.
All right, then roll call.
Myers,
Yes.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Shetler.
Yes.
Houseman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next we will do is the approve the state of Iowa County preceding worksheet.
That's quite a word.
Tongue twister. I believe I gave you all a copy of this.
Yeah.
This is the worksheet that we have to send into the state with our ordinance and our maps and all the good stuff. So it basically just gives the numbers in each precinct, unincorporated, incorporated, total population, et cetera. So that is all. So yeah, we're just looking for a motion to approve the worksheet, and then we'll include that with the rest of the information to the state.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the worksheet be sent to the state of Iowa?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay.
So I'll show you the new one for this side.
Okay. Next, let's go to approve the payables. As we're aware of some of the things that are stuck in the payables. Before we do that, do we want to have a discussion in regard to the payable request from construction? Is there any comments on that?
I don't, where was that?
Oh, theirs is for another $15,350. And they're showing that Like at 99.95%.
I didn't print that off, Scott. 'cause
Okay.
It was in the email and I didn't know you'd be looking at it.
The application.
Yeah,
Can I look at it?
it's just that matter.
This isn't
This is just
engineering
for,
change.
no,
Okay.
but it's just the application and. Well, I mean, I think there's some, might include some of those changes, but,
That we've already approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
but
So, and you said they're 95,
99.95.
99.95.
According to pay, and what's left to finish is basically just the security controls of $5,860. Must have been at that time. According to this sheet.
What is it?
Now, they will have a
What is it?
retainage. There is a retainage of, right now,
It's
$546,917. And they will not be getting any of that until it's totally.
sorry.
That's okay, I'm not.
Well, I'm kind of looking at those figures, so,
Oh, yeah,
right,
yeah,
pretty close to that.
but I can run the report that shows what we
All right.
said so far.
And that is also included in the payables, so I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of it, so. Any other questions on the payables?
So this is one of our final payments to them.
Well, there could be another payment, and then there could be the retainage. The retainage they will not get until the thing is totally done.
So the punch list that we did last week.
Right, until everything's done on the punch list and it's given its final blessing. to it. Yeah, that amounts to $546,917.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the payables? If not, we're in order for a motion to approve the payables. So moved. Then move to approve the payables. Any further discussion? Or is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is approval of Class C beer permit for Al's Corner. Is that thing complete?
Looks like it.
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you get into, they don't have who the ownership information is on it. It just says privately held corporation. The insurance company and dram shop dates are, there's not, it's just, that's blank, isn't it?
Mhm,
Is that the way they always do it?
mhm.
So, yeah,
And they go online and fill this out and then it's emailed to us, so. And I can see that it looks like there's a new person doing it, so. I don't know if they didn't get all the information then.
This doesn't expire until February. I guess I would suggest that,
Send them back to us for correction.
yep,
Well, we get it from the state, so we'll have to contact the
state.
state and say that.
the state sent it out this way.
Yes, because the business applies online,
Oh, sure.
and then we
Yeah.
get the email to
Yeah,
the
that's
board
what
to
it is.
approve it. So
But why would they send it out if it incomplete?
I can't.
But I would-
It's
Yeah,
probably
that-
just a generic, they send it on. I do agree, we need to send it back to them or somebody get a hold of them and have them completely fill it out.
The ownership thing needs to be filled out. I would agree.
Well, I think even the insurance thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say we.
Yeah, I'm surprised if they forwarded it to us without with it not being complete.
It might be
Good catch.
automatic. It comes in and then 3 days later, it just sends it out. It wouldn't matter
Whether it's right
reviewed
or
or
not.
not, reviewed or not. It
Well,
might-
and I
You know,
don't-
whenever you fill anything out online, you know, before you can submit,
Right.
you usually,
Every field. has-
yeah, every
You need to
field
have
has
this
to
field
be,
correct.
you know, all those required spaces have to be
I
complete.
would think so, but
And I didn't, I got this on my desk and I kind of just glanced at it and I
I didn't look at the back.
I didn't turn it back over. I just-
When is the new date on
Good job.
It's expires February 8th.
it? Oh, so they got some time.
So they got some time, so I think let's table till all
It's
the
gonna
information is complete.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, I don't know that we should be proving stuff that's not good.
No, totally agree.
Good catch. Yeah, I didn't, I looked at the front side.
Do you, I see John is here. Now, I don't know if you want to move up and do that.
Yeah, let's go back to that then. Okay, John, we're gonna take care of you now, SCH.
Great.
Um,
Thank you for waiting.
Well, no, we're actually waiting on somebody else, and so we take care of you, so.
Terrific.
I think everybody has got a copy of the project understanding and the proposal in front of them. Does anybody have any questions at this? Or do you have any comments first, John? I'll start with you.
I don't have any comments. We did have a chance to review this last week. Made a couple minor changes that we had talked about. I think regarding, computer modeling and things of that nature in the scope of services portion of it. So the new information that you're really seeing right now is a couple of those things updated, and then the fee that we applied to the project. And that's based on the $4.4 million that we put in as an estimation of probable costs for the projects. Again, we're hoping that number is high, and we'll see as the project progresses. But we also did include in there a credit for the work that we've already done. We've got quite a bit of information that we've been able to gather through the assessment that we intend to use as well. So that got us a little bit of a jump start on the schematic design process. So we thought it'd only be fair to credit that amount back. But yeah, I think we're excited for the project, and Tom is here as well. If anyone on the board has any questions for us, we're here available to answer those.
This project fees, that stays the same regardless what the bid comes in? Is that correct?
I think so. Right now, that is our lump sum fee. So that would stay the same unless we attached it to just linked it directly to the construction sum. So a couple ways to look at that. Right now, this is a fixed fee. So if the construction prices fluctuate up or down, it still stays the same. I guess the only drawback from that is if the construction prices tend to go up, then our fees would sort of artificially go up, which we don't necessarily want to happen.
I think engineering would be a fixed sum regardless of the fluctuation
Yeah.
of labor or.
Yeah, I would assume this would be a fixed figure myself. That's the way I was reading this, regardless of what it was bid or what it wound up costing.
Correct. Yeah, this is a fixed fee lump sum.
So, John, the Shive Hattery to design the brand new jail was less than $900,000. So this is a third of that price roughly. So is it because it's a remodel, or why? I mean, just when I look at scope, designing a brand new building would be easy or seem simpler than perhaps. So is part of this the demolition part, or?
Yes. Yeah. To jump in there. Yeah, I think normally our fee percentage would be lower based on brand new construction. With this particular project, we need to do a lot more investigation into the building to find out where all the existing HVAC is, all the existing walls, plumbing, things of that nature. So typically on a renovation cost, you really hit the nail on the head. We have to increase the percentage fee due to the existing conditions. We also have to draw demolition plans and things of that nature. So there is commonly more involved in a renovation project.
So question for the board, we're not taking action today, right? I mean, Courtney, you said John hasn't finished his review of it.
No, he got it late last week, so I had a pretty good idea. He probably wouldn't have time to have it
Okay,
looked at it.
well, yeah, did you hear that, John? We probably will not act on this today.
Sure,
Because
that's
our
fine.
attorney hasn't got to look at it yet. But I just I wanted to make sure that I was clear on this. This is a fixed fee, excluding if there's the other fee schedule you have here for expenses and stuff like that.
Correct. You're correct. This is a fixed fee, and our intention is that it stays this amount, even if construction prices fluctuate or whatnot. I think that benefits the county. So fixed fee, and then really the rates were attached there in case you wanted to add additional services to the project. We listed things that were excluded or could be added as additional services as required. But yeah, you're right. I don't perceive that we would need to add any additional services for the project. And so, yeah, this is a fixed fee lump sum amount for the project.
Does anybody else have any questions on this? Okay, I mean, I don't.
So did you referenced Cedar Falls several times? Did you guys get awarded that job and you're proceeding on that right now? The City Hall in Cedar Falls?
Yeah, that was actually just Bluestone. That was separate. SEH wasn't involved, but yes, we're actually, bids came in, actually very good, that they were within 1% of the actual budget, and we're proceeding with construction on that right now.
Okay.
I guess the only questions that I had was, it's probably kind of what you're referring to too. It was a little higher than I thought it was probably going to be.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can divide this out as far as just what the HVAC would be and the rest? Is that too much of an ask, or?
No, not too much of an ask. We have all this information. When Tom and I put together spreadsheets to really,
does that make sense at all to the rest of the board?
Well, it'd be just if they can do it, or we can do it on a percentage basis too. If we know the percentage of the cost of the project, and we can do it back on a percentage of.
Well, yeah, but I don't want two interpretations though, I guess. I would rather have them just have that.
So what you're asking is that just what the HVAC's portion of it is?
Mhm.
Is that possible, John?
it is possible. Yeah. And I know,
I
We
guess
had a-
for bookkeeping.
Sure. Yeah, we can certainly do that. We have all that information, and on this agreement, we can put in the line items in terms of how we got to where we're at. But you're right, the HVAC portion of it is about 50% or so of the overall project and fee. So there's just a lot in there there's a lot of work that Bluestone does have to do on the HVAC, and that's a really big chunk of the project. And then what you'll also see in there is architectural. There's other disciplines as well besides Tom and I. We have structural engineering. We have we split out civil engineering as well, but interior design. And then Tom has quite a few I think other disciplines as well, besides the HVAC, I think in terms of telecommunications.
The electrical.
Electrical, right.
Electrical service. So,
Dean, you just want that doesn't have to be in this contract. Just, you don't need this in the contract, do you? That figure? You just want to know it.
Yeah, I'd like to know it.
Okay,
It may make a difference in how I do the contract.
okay, but just give us I think
Yeah.
Dean just wants to know the figure. We don't need to change his contract right now.
Sure, okay, that's fair.
All right. Good enough. We will have our attorney review this and then we'll get back to you, okay?
Sounds great. We appreciate your time.
Anybody else have any questions? You got anything, Stephanie? Okay, well, thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thanks again.
Happy New Year, Susan.
Same to you.
You too.
Okay. Is Rita coming?
We're supposed to be here at 10.
All right, let's go to down the line, CB, man, my tongue is twisted. I must have been drinking this weekend. CDBG Down Payment Assistance Program. And this is a request for release of funds and certification. This is on the current project, right?
Well, the other one's done.
Yeah.
This is the new one, so this is the second.
It's confusing.
It does. And it's even the same dollar amount, so,
I know.
yeah,
It,
so.
it looks identical to the first.
Yeah.
And the dates are different.
So I'm just looking for approval of this and authorizing the chair to sign.
Okay, is there any questions on this? If not, we need a motion.
I'll make that motion with the also with, can you help me the chair to sign with that motion according to?
Sure.
Okay, with the caveat that the chair signed that.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay. Next, we have manure management annual updates. Woodford Creek Farms LLP, 750, Section 12, Pleasant Valley Township, an annual update. Woodford Creek Farms LLP, 753, Section 24, Wheatland Township, it's an annual update. Golden Cuff Finisher Farms, Section 32 of Vowell Township, Sac County, they added acres and manure analysis. This week's manure management. Next, we will go to committee reports.
I can go. Last week on Tuesday, we had the landfill December executive board meeting. Wednesday, spent a couple hours doing the punch list in the jail with Shai Hattery and Noah from Fading Construction. And this week I have nothing except for after this meeting, I think Gene and I are gonna call Renee.
Gee,
I can do it next. Last week, Wednesday, I did join in on the punch list tour. And then I had an email conversation with a resident of the Carroll County regarding the wage and the compensation board. That went pretty well. I think there was some misunderstanding how the compensation board worked, but I think we've got that cleared up now. This week, I have a governance meeting at Holstein for mental health. And other than that, that is my week.
okay, I'll go next. Last week I had CADC at noon. They basically went through the financials.
I did that too.
And you did that too.
How about that?
The big thing on their agenda last Tuesday was they did go through their bylaws and approved amendments to their bylaws, basically bringing things kind of up to date and more current. They did approve the members that are going for the new term for 22 through 24. And did also vote on also the we touched on retail coach for a while, and they're looking at doing some more work on their website. And we'll have a drop down on there for like job openings are going to be at and stuff like that. And their private investment is currently at $35,500. So we're getting close to that 40. And then on Wednesday, I attended the jail punch list, which took up a good chunk of the day. And there's a lot of work that to be done. I'll just put it that way. And this week, I really had nothing until I looked at my calendar and I got to go out and sign some documents out for opportunities. And then also call Renee.
I can go next. I really had nothing official last week. But I did, I was asked to contact the East-West Nishnabotna WMA coordinator to talk, give a presentation at the Raccoon River Valley WMA. So I did that. Kind of like Rich, I had a lot of conversations about the compensation board actually over the last 2 weeks, and everybody probably did, you know.
I guess some of the misunderstanding how it.
I think so.
works.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of them thought that was the final say. you know.
Yeah. That's how mine started off. Why did you do that? Well, first of all, why is done are two different things.
Yeah.
Well, I had a conversation at fuel pumps one day, and a lady pulled up and started on me. And I said, just let me finish here and I'll tell you about it. And when I got said and done, she says, I'm glad I talked to you. That's all the good different what I was perceiving.
What you perceived, yeah. So, yeah, I had a lot of those conversations as well, which I do every year.
Yep.
You know,
And
quite honest with
you
it's-
know, those are legitimate things and I don't mind talking to people about it.
Yeah, cleared up. So that was last week. This week, I really don't have anything at this point in time, but that also could change. So.
I can go next. Last week, basically the same as everybody else, the punch list. And then this week I don't have any official meetings, but like Dean, I did receive a couple phone calls on the compensation board. But I agree with you guys as far as explaining it to the general public how it works. But there are a few factors that did not play into our favor. There was an article released that did not help our point because it said right in the article, the supervisors approved the compensation board. Well, we approved the letter that we received it, but we did not approve the percentages. So there was a few things that didn't play to our favor.
A lot of misunderstandings. Okay, the only other thing I got is I think you've all got a copy of this from John in regard to doing a county provider agreement and these things. And I have a little bit of a question here. He says about us not sitting on these boards, and I think it's from being interested. And I think what he's meaning is
If you're paid.
people that are invested in it or something like that. So I'm gonna get a clarification on that. The other thing is that we have a next meeting, we'll have our organizational meeting. Has anybody, they looked at this, do you see anything that's need to be changed? The only one I see is that one on condemnation board.
Stephanie has a couple of, well, the people accepted on the ambulance board, right, Steph?
You didn't do anything on that condemnation board.
They just renew it.
Stephanie, I will reach out to that one. I think I got somebody in mind on that.
And
I just don't want us to reappoint deceased people.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
All right,
Yeah, I hope you get some clarification on that, G, because you and I had a little talk about that
Yeah.
this morning, because that's,
well,
what I read and my interpretation of what I read, it could be quite different, because a lot of these boards we sat on, we do vote. If that's something we're gonna have to step away from, then we need to really reevaluate what's going on, because that's a whole different. As I interpreted, like, man, I just lost half my committees.
Yeah, yeah, I thought the same thing.
well, I mean, and we're put on there to protect the interests of the county.
Yes.
So I think we're reading this wrong. I think
But
it's,
also,
I think it's like he says.
but being on the board and protecting the interests
Right.
and voting are two different things also. So that's why I say if the voting becomes a problem, then we've got some work to do.
Well, I mean, if that's a big issue, I mean, you could abstain from new opportunities. You could abstain from Region 12, you know,
What about landfill? Same thing?
in the land. Well, landfill's a little bit different. We
Tax
don't,
money.
it is
That's
tax
tax money,
money,
yeah.
but we don't vote on
You're
anything
correct,
with the
yeah.
landfill.
Oh,
Are there any budget items in the landfill?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Well,
a
we-
county line item.
Yeah, for the landfill, and then how does that change? Or doesn't?
It's a set amount.
They give us what they need and then the board approves it when you guys do your budget.
it's based on our tipping fee.
Yeah, Gene, I was talking, the Region 12 can't function at all because there are two of those, nothing but supervisors on it.
And like
None.
new opportunities is a
Yeah.
tri-party board. That's made of county supervisors, low income and private people. You got three of them, one of them from each county.
But I mean, when we approve that segment, when we do approve the nonprofits, you could abstain from that line,
Yes, yes,
and then the rest could vote, I guess.
yes.
I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I think.
I'd like to see it get cleared up.
I think we're all reading too much into it.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't want to take too many steps forward here till we get a little.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, if there. Courtney, what do you have?
I don't have my new book down here for next month. For next year.
Let's ask you a whole bunch of questions.
But I know that obviously it'll be our organizational meeting and I believe, I don't want to speak out of turn, there may be a nonprofit coming in, but I can't remember.
This one, I can put it back.
Might be coming in that day too.
They may or may not be invited.
That's right.
They've been on the agenda once.
I'm just kidding.
You don't want to miss your turn when you're asking for money.
That's
Yeah.
right. And
That's
I'm
right.
assuming it was just overlooked.
You
because
just
of
like
the
at
Don't
holiday.
get
Christmas,
it,
you're not there for the gift, someone else gets it.
That's right.
Yeah, you smooth it.
Okay, Ben, is there any comments online?
Only a few spam ones, but other than that, no.
Only what?
Spam.
Spam.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moving second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Well, happy New Year and prosperous New Year. to
Happy New
everyone.
Year.
Here.
Did you hear us okay, Steph?
I can. I will say there's a lot of echoing, so it's better because you can hear everybody. But like, let's say Courtney is moving some papers, you can hear that really well.
Yeah.
And like in the beginning of the meeting, when everybody was talking, it was a lot. There was a lot of noise.
Okay.
But you could understand everybody though?
Everybody. Yep.
Well, that's the main thing.
Yep.
Okay.
We can work on the noise cancellation, but at least it sounds better.
It does.
Good.
Be a work in progress.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.